Now we're going to move to how to use crypto safely, or how Australian consumers use crypto safely. We're going to be joined by Alec O'Sullivan, who is our head of operations here at Deca. Alec is going to lead a conversation around a practical walkthrough around safe onboarding, account protection, verification habits, and the common red flags that appear before a scam begins. So Alec is joined by Jess Renden, who is the CEO of Hornery. Jess has around, and I'm just going to do a little bit of an intro because Jess and Lisa, who are joining us, Jess is the CEO of Hornery, as I said, but she has over 20 years in tech. She has been a champion of digital currency adoption, including self-managed super funds, and she brings a strong focus on accessibility and inclusion, which I think is one of the beautiful things about Hornery. Lisa Hornery joins us as the Regional Compliance Officer at Kraken, which is an international exchange, very, very solidly positioned here in Australia, though. Lisa has over 2 decades in institutional finance and specialises in regulatory strategy compliance frameworks with deep expertise across AFSL regimes, market operators, and evolving digital asset landscapes. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Alec, to drive this conversation and welcome our speakers to the stage.
Thanks, Amy Rose, for the introduction. And hi, Lisa. Hi, Jess. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Very well.
Hey, Alec. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
So to kick off the session on today, I'll ask the question for you both. What is the security threat nobody is talking about right now, but absolutely should be?
Do you want to go first, Jess?
I was going to say, all right, I'll jump in. All right, thanks, Alec. Alrighty, so yeah, I guess just to quickly touch on as well, I'm running Hornery as a crypto exchange. I've been crypto for 9 years nearly, and it feels like it's all eternity. And we've come across so many different things in our space. And I think for me, one of the biggest ones is actually social engineering scams. And I can't say they're not being talked about, but I actually think it's one that I really want to emphasize from the exchange standpoint. And I guess the reason why I want to say that is that the bad actors out there, they're building so many different, websites that mimic exchanges like ours. And it's something that's become prevalent. Last year, we saw it increase astronomically, the amount of copycat sites, not just for Hornery, but other exchanges as well. And they are so sophisticated now that unfortunately, they are gaining access to, customers who are logging on thinking it's, Hornery or another exchange, when they're not, and they're not the legitimate sites. And that's actually something that we've just seen, which has been a large majority of scams through 2025. I can actually say that ASIC actually released an announcement yesterday which Lisa and I were chatting about. And they released an update yesterday where they've actually taken down nearly 12,000 phishing and investment-related scam sites throughout the calendar year of 2025, which is huge. And social engineering is some of those as well. And I guess the biggest thing for us as an exchange, as well as trying to work with each of the regulator parties as well to get those taken down, and our internal cyber teams too. So it's actually a really, really big one that I think everyone should be aware of as well. And I'm sure we're going to cover off more today.
I think from an exchange perspective, to back up what Jess said, absolutely, Kraken is in the same position as Hornery in that we're the facilitators of crypto transactions that people nefarious and not nefarious want to do. And the hard part for the exchanges is to make sure that those that are actually the ones that have good intentions and those that are using our site for what it's actually designed for are actually able to do that without this awful friction and white noise that's created by scammers, social engineering, not only fake exchange sites, but fake, like we were just talking about with the ASIC takedown, the fake investment scam websites. So there are lots of people out there that get that get unintentionally swept up in a crypto scam, but it's because these other websites are actually using crypto as the way to actually rip people off and to actually move that money around and to actually rob people of their hard-earned savings. And I think that's the hardest part, and that's the most frustrating part, working for an exchange and watching these kind of things happen when really it's not. It's two steps removed from us. So we're always trying to protect consumers quite voraciously when it comes to that kind of stuff.
And question for you, Lisa. So with the rise of these sophisticated AI attacks, is standard 2FA really enough anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I think there are still a lot of people out there that don't have 2FA, and if you don't and you're listening, just go out and get it. Because that is one thing that will actually help in a way to go towards you not having your account actually taken over. But unfortunately, 2FA doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're not going to have an account takeover, because if you have your, and I'm sure Jess can attest to this, but there's quite a few clients that ring up and their whole computer's been taken over. So if you have 2FA, it doesn't matter because it's still going to the person, that's the hacker that's actually already taken over your computer or your device. Having said that, 2FA is definitely a step in the right direction, and I do, like I said, urge everyone to have 2FA on their accounts. And at Kraken, we just 100% ask people all the time, make sure 2FA's on, make sure 2FA's on, and they have to, there are certain circumstances where that can be taken off, but that's something that we really do press home, 2FA. The second thing that I would say is the password protection apps. And I'm not just talking plain old Chrome, remember my password, or the Google Password Manager. I'm talking about proven third-party provider apps that you probably have to pay for, but at the end of the day, paying maybe $50 a year to subscribe to a password protection app that's actually aligning with all of the cybersecurity standards and all of the ISO codes that are out there is a better bet than losing everything because somebody's hacked into your password. So things like, I know password is one that is highly recommended, and that's something that I use. That's something that Kraken actually has all of their employees use. So I figure if it's good enough for Kraken, it's good enough for me. I've got my family onto that, and I think that's a good one. I think Jess could probably add to this conversation, but password protection and 2FA are probably two of the main things that I would say would help. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I'm 100% in agreement as well, and we operate really similarly at Cointree. We've got mandatory 2FA for accounts because we want to make sure that users, that they've got it enabled.
Yeah.
And I guess like even additional security mechanisms, which a lot of exchanges have as well, like when you're going to withdraw an asset, there's usually another piece of multi-factor in there, whether it's an email or an SMS confirmation in addition to 2FA, and making sure, that you're logged in with a certain time period and things like that as well. That's just even when transacting and withdrawing your assets. But password security, it's massive. Unfortunately, the amount of people that I still know today who have the same password recycled over all of their finance apps, and unfortunately that does increase your risk if you do have a device compromised or even your email compromised as well. And so using those password tools, you can then generate unique passwords so that they are all different, and then you can keep, have those added layers of security as well. It's really important. I was going to say another thing, which is maybe not as commonly used, is also like a YubiKey.
Yes.
Yeah, YubiKey.
Oh, I think we lost Jess.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
she's back.
Oh,
YubiKeys. No, yeah, YubiKeys are great. Yep, like this little puppy here. Yep. Oh, we've lost her again. Okay, just in case.
And Lisa,
Jess,
does Kraken issue the YubiKey, or is
no, Kraken doesn't issue YubiKey. However, if you were at our CryptoCon event last year, so maybe it's a good thing to come this year, there were some free packs given out and we had YubiKeys in those. YubiKeys are very easy to obtain. They're not that expensive, and they're totally worth it because it's just an added layer of protection. Yeah, I would. Yeah, good one, Jess, for mentioning that.
Yeah.
The other thing is, just very quickly, for those of you who think, yeah, okay, I know, I've got to change it because my pet's name or my pet's name followed by my child's birthday is really not that easy to crack, is really not that hard to crack. I can't remember what the actual statistics are. So, but, everyone who's on this is obviously able to get onto a computer, so Google it. But and you guys might be able to help me out, but the statistics for how easy it is for a hacker to crack a 6 or an 8 character password is crazy. It's something like 2 seconds. And then if it goes to 10 letters, it's not even that much better. It's like 2 minutes. So you really have to make these passwords very long and very random and very stupid to be able to protect yourself against the hackers. And that's why password protection software is the best, because you only have to remember one password and then it's just random for everything else. So yeah, I would say make sure that your passwords are long, and please do not recycle them at all ever, and don't have the same one for everything. It's not. I
didn't realize it was 2 seconds.
It's not real. I can't remember. It's really. It's very, very fast. It's surprisingly fast, and it's probably faster now, given that we've got increased technology with AI and all of those kind of things. It's very, very easy to break into anything. So yeah, I would recommend longer passwords for sure. Is a good way to protect yourself against potential scammers.
And Jess, what are some of the early warning signs that something might be a scam?
Yeah, so putting myself into like a customer's lens, one of the things that is a massive red flag initially is actually this sense of urgency, and they actually touched on it on the last discussion as well. Yeah. If someone's contacting you, even claiming to be from an exchange or a bank or anywhere, and they've got a sense of urgency that they need to get you on a call or even on a video session to try and get you to transact, or even to have like a discussion with you and share documents, that's a big red flag. First of all, no one ever from an exchange or a bank will ever ask you to send or move your money anywhere. And so when that sense of urgency comes in and they really try and push you, that is a really big red flag. And it's really important to just pause and reflect and validate who is reaching out to you and validate why. But exchanges, banks, anyone in the financial systems are never going to ask you to send your funds anywhere. And that
is a really important way to be able to protect yourself, is to make sure that you don't succumb to that sense of urgency. If there's any sense of urgency, really stop and think, take a breath, think about exactly what this person is asking you, and think about why they're asking you. Oh, she's still talking. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not sure what is going on today.
No, I just picked up where you left off, but we're talking about sense of urgency, and I think you said the same thing. Yeah.
We're a good team like that.
Over to you in the studio, Jess. Yeah,
that's okay. And I'll push back to you, Lisa, as well, because I know you had some other themes from your side yesterday too that we talked about. So
just the red flags, like if it's too. This is a really big one, and we did discuss this yesterday when we were talking about the panel, because with the current cost of living crisis and with the amount of money that people are not making like they used to, and the pressure to actually be able to make some money, as that increases, so does often the desperation of some people to think, oh, so as exactly what Carolyn was saying on one of the first sessions, like, I've made all this money, you can too, let's go for it, there's no risk. If it sounds too good to be true, I guarantee you it is. Do not listen, and do not think that you know better than what we're telling you either, because honestly, we've seen it so many times. It's just not worth it. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah. Cries for help from people that you rarely know, or people that are very quick to establish a relationship, is always a big red flag. And I think maybe, Jess, you talked about this earlier, but request to pay in unusual ways. Like, don't think that don't think that paying someone in Litecoin is going to get you a job interview any faster than actually just logging on to the employee's website and having a look at the careers on offer, like straight from the source. Because often, think about how many times you would actually be asked to pay for something that is usually, you would usually get for free. So you've really got to just be very aware when it comes to anything. And it's not just crypto, it's life in general. You wouldn't give someone $100 on the street just because they came up and asked you for it. But that's how some people think when it comes to being online. And you've really got to keep your guard up.
And do age demographics have a role to play? Do you identify people as a risk based on that?
Yes. Look, unfortunately, we do. And as I'm not sure how many of the viewers today know about the AML, the AML and CTF rules that all exchanges need to comply with in Australia. But one of them is transaction monitoring, and another one is obviously different types of triggers when it comes to your onboarding processes, age demographics, because unfortunately, statistics have shown that particularly over the age of 80 or even lower than that, and we have different triggers for 60, 70, 80-year-old customers, require different levels of due diligence, because unfortunately there has been a trend with more elderly traders that they have fallen victim to scams. And so as an exchange, we have a myriad of different transaction monitoring triggers and also onboarding triggers as well, where our support and compliance team work through different levels of questions and an understanding to make sure that that customer actually understands what they're doing, but then also understanding why. And that can sometimes come across as an invasion of privacy, or you don't need to know why I'm doing it. But there's actually a genuine care for people that are trading and signing up to our platform, because we don't want them to fall victim to a scam. And so part of our, measures is we try and work through that process with the customer in those age demographics to make sure that they're also not being perhaps coerced or for, it's really challenging, because it's something that has, particularly over the last few years, increased. And we, have seen across the industry that many older individuals call and they say, it was my life savings. I sent it to an investment fund in England or overseas or wherever, and they can't get it back. And that's the other big thing to understand, is that if you send it off platform to a wallet that you don't control and own, it's gone. Like, we can't get it back. So I think that's and that is the sad part, isn't it? It's that there's not an understanding of what happens after it goes off platform. And like you, Jess, Kraken is 100% customer centric. That's why we work. That's how we get paid, is to make sure that our customers are getting the best service that they possibly can. And part of that is this huge protection aspect that does often come across as a little bit invasive and maybe a little bit condescending. But at the end of the day, the transaction monitoring, the pattern recognition, things like, how many transactions what is their age? How many transactions did they put in? What kind of transactions were they? The frequency, the amount, all sorts of things go together to create this pattern recognition and all of these different algorithms that allow us to be able to detect activity that might be outside the norm for that bracket, or, for that demographic.
And Jess, so how do you balance the compliance practices with a good user experience?
It's a challenge, Alec, to be honest with you, and it's been a challenge for years, but something that we feel is incredibly important to protect our customers. And Cointree, we've always remained much more risk adverse and wanting to make sure that our customers, we may ask a few more questions, the onboarding may be a little more onerous at times, but that's from our perspective on making sure that the customer at the end of the day is protected. And so so it's a challenge. Obviously, like many exchanges, you've got a standard, onboarding process where you'll sign up, you'll provide, you'll scan your ID, we'll take the details off that, validate your actual identity, run through a liveness check to make sure that you're not an AI agent or anything like that. But then we also go through reviews on some general questions on a customer too. And so it's a hard balance running a business like ours, because at the end of the day, we don't want anybody to get scammed. And so we try and put our best foot forward to help protect customers the best we can, and asking them for different levels of information to try and help ensure that they have a good sound knowledge on what they're looking to do or getting started into the crypto landscape. But it can be onerous at times, and we do sometimes see, some customers say, well, I don't want to give you that information, but unfortunately, as a business, we've got practices in place for a reason, and so we've got to stand by those.
That might also become, just as a word of warning, Jess mentioned it before, but the AML/CTF laws, the anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing laws that AUSTRAC have put in place, there may be some of you out there may not be, but the new rules came into place as of the 31st of March, which means that sometimes there's going to be a little bit of extra verification that takes place when you are transferring money off exchange or to another exchange. And that is only because AUSTRAC has put these in place to be in line with the rest of the world. So the UK, the US, Europe, they all have this travel rule in place, and that's from the Financial Action Task Force, which is a global body. So there may be a little bit of extra friction that's involved, but again, that's for your own protection, to make sure that you know exactly who you're sending your money to and who it's coming from when it comes into your account.
And Lisa, how has Kraken prepared itself for the travel rule?
Oh, good question, Alec. Thanks for asking. We have thoroughly prepared ourselves. We are actually one of the things that is great about Kraken is the fact, as Amy Rose mentioned, it is an international exchange. And so we've been able to leverage off the teams that have already done this in Europe and the UK and in the US, to make sure that actually we have all of the processes and the procedures already in place and they're ready to go. So we were actually quite well placed leading up to this change. I will say that it felt like a very short run up in the end. And, Jess and I were on working groups to actually, the industry actually aligned on this. So for those of you that are out there listening, for the audience, the digital asset exchanges actually keep in contact very closely with each other, and we work together to make sure that the industry itself is more robust and stable. And as a result, one of the results of that was that came out of that was the travel rule working group that we had. Jess was on that, and so we were able to leverage knowledge, share stories, work off the back of people, and with the help of you, Alec, and Amy Rose at DECA, we were able to actually engage with AUSTRAC in a way that gave us a good dialogue, so that we knew exactly what the regulator wanted and what the industry was willing to give. So I think we've done a good job, but please be aware, for those of you, for the audience, that there may be a few more questions that come as a result of that travel rule. And if you say travel rule to whoever's on that end of the line or the support ticket, they're going to think you're an expert, because they probably don't know what it means. No, I'm joking, but yeah.
I want to circle back to AI, because the capabilities are increasing so rapidly, and Anthropic just the other day announced that they're sitting on an AI that they think might be able to hack everything and everyone. So what are the AI deepfake tells that you typically look for when someone's onboarding?
Jess, you want to go first?
Yeah. Again, I think that's been quite a big challenge for a lot of the KYC platform providers globally, is all these AI deepfakes, and it's something that we still see come through quite a lot. For us, it's about making sure that we are reviewing the documentation that gets submitted and uploaded. So you'll notice that we actually, it's really interesting to see the change, because again, I've been across compliance ever since I started at Cointree, and it's really interesting to see how good they are. They're incredibly good, these IDs. And you'll notice really a lot more smoother blending and blurred out lines, and then, but they look so good that you've really got to still have quite a finite look at them. And we've got so many sophisticated tools, but we actually still have manual reviews for documents because of how good these can be. And same with the videos as well. So as I mentioned earlier on the call, we do a liveness check for our customers, which we've done for years, to make sure that it is actually the individual there. But we'll notice with some of the AI ones that are coming through, it'll be slightly glitchy, coming across in the video, and then our team will watch it and review it and be like, hang on a second, is that them? And you can sometimes see like a shift on like a face they've tried to put over themselves, and like it's actually, it sounds bad, but it's actually really interesting to see where technology is getting. But a lot of the automated tools at times don't always pick them up. So for us, we also make sure that we have, an additional check with the team as well, just to make sure that, that they get an additional look at it, because they're very clever. It's been a very interesting process, and one that we still manage daily.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add to that, because that's exactly what we're doing. Same thing. A really lazy one is that the license comes across, a photo of someone's license comes across, and it's great. Like, it looks awesome. And I wish I had that kind of, good license photo or passport photo. But then, funnily enough, their selfie is exactly the same photo. They've just changed the background. So it's quite easy in some senses. I mean, they're great photos, and on spec, you'd probably just go, yep, sure, no problem. But I think also just the way that the image recognition now, the technology is such that we can actually sometimes go through we've done this before as an exercise, gone through the database and found the same fake account, same fake photo, on say 100 accounts. And they've all been knocked back because of the fact that the photo was fake in the first place, but they can recycle photos. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And actually, just on that, this is a really weird one, but my son was in Japan for 5 weeks doing what you do when you're 20 in Japan, and they had a vending machine. This is true, a vending machine where you put in your money, and then it just popped out with someone's passport photo, like the random leftover passport photos. And so he and all of his mates got one. So he's got his on the back of his phone just because it's funny. But I thought, oh my God, there you go. Mm. That's probably a tip for scammers. Don't go to Japan. But the thing is, it's very, very easy to fake an ID, and it is getting harder and harder. As sophisticated as the hackers and the scammers are getting, we are always one step ahead, aren't we, Jess?
We are. That's our job. To try and be that one step ahead. Our job.
Yeah.
So is there a growing need for a government mandated digital ID?
Oh.
It's a tough one.
With 3 minutes to go, you want to open that can of worms? Well, listen,
I've been told to go longer, that's why.
Okay, right. Stretch it out. We've got we're going to have to do the weather and sport, Jess.
Got it.
The thing is, we've already got a digital. We've got MyGov and that My Digital ID, right? MyGov Digital ID, and that's apparently good enough for government websites. And if you want to log on and look at your tax or your or Medicare or whatever other government agency you've got linked into MyGov, then the MyGov ID is good enough. So we did have these discussions back at the DECA policy roundtables when we held them in Canberra about having some form of ID that is completely trustworthy. Look, you spark a massive debate, don't you? But I don't mind. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't mind the idea of people owning their own IDs as an NFT or on the blockchain, because that's immutable. You can't change that, right? But there's a lot of other things that come along with that. But at some point, we're going to have something that is completely immutable. Otherwise, we're just always going to be chasing our tail, right, Jess?
Yeah. And that's it. I think, I think there's going to be some interesting challenges ahead with trying to integrate digital identity when it comes to some of the KYC reviews and having some sort of authenticator. And that's where I think Lisa's got it quite spot on. Something that is immutable and something that we can actually really validate is that person is going to be key, because even still you can, as much as you might have a phone device to validate your identity onto the computer, but if that's compromised, you know what I mean? It's an interesting process. And so I think I'm all for being able to move with technology. It's what we do, we're in one of the fastest moving digital spaces, being crypto. But it's going to be interesting as to how that comes in as a validation point. I think personally, and this might sound funny, but I'm very old school. I like to still be able to see who I'm dealing with and who I'm working with. I think there'll always still be that element of still personal validation and checking as well, in addition to our digital identities.
I was just going to quickly say, I saw this thing on, it was on Instagram, but it was this cybersecurity person that I follow. I know, boring. And they were saying that if you are having an interview with someone or there's something going on and you're Zooming and you're not too sure who it is, or it's like a new contact or whatever, sounds really odd, but make sure, could you imagine if I glitched when I did this? Make sure they ask them to put their 3 fingers up on their forehead, because it glitches the AI filter. And then that means that they're not who they say they are, because they'll just go, no, I'm not doing that. And
AI can't do fingers very well.
AI can't do fingers very well. So that's just a little tip. That's all. I will say, I just want to say also, thank you so much for the opportunity for Jess and I, to have this chat. We actually talked to Alex for about 2 hours yesterday on this, and he was like, I've only got half an hour, dudes. I think you'll be fine. But it's really important, no matter what you think or no matter who says what, please always come back, take a breath and think, is this really what I should be doing right now? And if someone rings you and says, I'm from the bank or I'm from the crypto exchange, honestly, hang up and ring back the number the central number that you have for that, exchange, because we don't want you to get scammed.
Yeah. And we'll never ask you to send your money anywhere. So that's probably one of my main parting points. We'll never ask you to send your money. So, please stay vigilant. And thank you for the opportunity. Really have appreciated it.
Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Jess. Amy Rose, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lisa, Jess, and Alec. Look, it really is around the education, the behaviours and the decisions of our consumers that do make the difference.